How did you guys film the battle room scenes?
Um, they were really fun to film. I think everyone on the cast was really excited about doing it when we first started. First couple of first few weeks weren't in the battle room. We filmed the battle room scenes in the middle. We did it in order of when the sets were finished building. But we had training and rehearsals on harnesses, and harnesses aren't the most comfortable thing you could wear, and neither are the flash suits, which, I mean, they look incredible when you're wearing them. You're very hot, to say the least. So it was hard work. I mean, we had a lot of physical training, and we spent a lot of time practicing getting the movements of pretending to be in zero gravity. An astronaut came in once to talk to us about moving in zero gravity and how it's different and what it is really like in space, to make sure we could give the most believable performance. And as you've probably seen in films, you have to move really slowly. I mean, we don't have to, but you have to move fluidly and smoothly. And when you're in the harnesses, to stop yourself from folding at the waist, which is where they're connected, you have to be tensed up. So keeping your action smooth whilst having your whole body completely tensed is surprisingly difficult, and meanwhile you're saying your lines. So they were fun. I mean, they were amazing fun to shoot, especially the sort of action moments where you're just flying across, shooting your gun. Those are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of the gun, I know in the book it like freezes a part of the body when you shoot it. How did you act that out? Are they like gonna CG so like your leg is a different color or like frozen?
Well, for the long shots, you just had to just freeze. You were just frozen. But for the close-ups, occasionally they have these contraptions which just locked your arm in place. So and they did use CG to make sure there weren't any tiny wobbles. But it was fun. Yeah.
It's gotta be hard being frozen in place for hours dangling from a harness.
Yeah, but you just you get used to it, I guess. You're just hanging there, and it's a bit easier than having to move more fluidly, because you just freeze, and then once you're tensed, you just stay like that, and so you're just floating there. And if you start spinning, then you have to make sure you're constantly spinning with the same momentum. So it's hard, but it's fun.
In the novels, Ender's Game takes place over a great many years. How did you guys handle that? Did you have actors that you cast to play younger versions of you or older versions of you, or just all you? Or
Well, from the book, there were things that had to change. I mean, first, the most obvious thing is that they had to age their characters up, because you can't find a 6-year, well, at least as far as I'm aware, you can't find a 6-year-old actor who can play that sort of a character, because it's complex and it's physically demanding. So that was the first issue. So they changed it from being 6 to sort of 13, 14. And then again, the time frame in which the story takes place had to be shortened to save you having to get, because there are so many key actors for the kids, save you having to get 5 or 6 different actors for the 10 different characters. They just shortened it into the space of about a year, rather than the 6 or 7 years that it takes place in the novel.
Harrison Ford plays a very big character in this role. Was there any sort of like hazing or anything you put the kids through?
I mean, Harrison's an amazing guy. He's really sweet, and he's an incredible actor as well. Both him and Sabine were really inspirational to work with. They were both very professional, and they stayed in character, which really helped us to give our best performance and help them to give theirs.
He stayed, so that would actually be kind of intimidating if he was staying in character because he's a
It was, and then that again is helpful. It
yeah.
helps you give the right performance, rather than you acting like best friends, which it sort of felt like when we weren't in character, because we got really close, but you stayed in that sort of slightly distant relationship, and there was a conflict between Ender and Graf, which we kept off stage. Well, not off stage, but in between takes.
What was the most intense psychological torture for Ender?
I think one of the hardest, obviously, there's the ending, which I'm not going to say, but that's that's definitely the biggest. But the of things I can talk about, I think one of the hardest things for Ender was leaving his sister back on Earth. I think that really, I think that's one of the things that really damaged him, as you can see in the mind game as well, which was a really interesting aspect of the film and the story as a whole. But Ender's relationship with Valentine, it ends up being slightly replicated with Petra. They get very close as well, but I think, I think that's one of one of the hardest things for Ender.
Is it difficult as a challenge to play one of the most intelligent boys in the future, as well as very, very naive at the same time of everything that's happening around you? Because he is quite smart and does tend to question and think things through.
Yeah, he is. That's why he is promoted. It's because of he's very bright and he is very clever and he knows the way people work and he uses that either to help them or he uses that against them if it's his enemy. And I think there is the natural curiosity that everybody has, but for Ender, I think it's on another level. And meanwhile, as you said, there is that innocence that sort of young teenagers have. Doesn't quite feel comfortable with the people he's around, and right at the beginning of when he first gets to battle school, he's set up as being better than all the other kids by Graf, which alienates them from him, and straight away he's treated as being a teacher's pet in a sense.